topics and opinions expressed in the following show are solely those of the host and their guests and not those of W4CY Radio, its employees, or affiliates. We make no recommendations or endorsements for radio show programs, services, or products mentioned on air or on our web. No liability, explicit or implied, shall be extended to W4CY Radio or its employees or affiliates. Any questions or comments should be directed to those show hosts. Thank you for choosing W4CY Radio.
Draw me close to you, never let me go, and lay it all down again, to hear you say that I'm a friend.
The Almighty Creator desires a deep personal relationship with you. My name is James Robertson. I'm a researcher, publisher, and teacher regarding the matters and truths of the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing. I've been actively serving him since 1993, over 32 years. If you're not actively serving Yah, then by default you're serving Satan. My objective is to show you how you can make a big difference on earth and qualify for a position of high esteem in heaven for eternity. It's important to understand that as a believer, just being good is not the point. It's relationship with Yah that counts. Without this, you will be in a very unpleasant place in heaven with no way out. And my aim is to show you how to get close to Father. If you're a good person without a clear relationship with Yah, then you are in a spiritual no man's land, and you will not enter heaven when you die. The Creator has said regarding unbelievers, why would I want someone to spend eternity with me when they don't believe I exist? Yah is calling everybody on the planet to be involved and serve him and help him to have victory over Satan. Fundamentally, we each need to learn how to see things on earth from Yah's perspective. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org. Today I'm going to talk about the essence of my message for the Jews, part 5, so I'm going to wrap up. And then I'm going to talk about why the satanic and demonic realm hate the Jews, the Yehudi, the way they do. So the overview: if you're a Jew, a Yehudi, particularly an Orthodox Jew, I urge you to listen to this broadcast to the end prayerfully and then to pray the prayer at the end. This broadcast represents a headline review of most facets of my teachings as they apply first and foremost to Yehudi. And folks, I want to stress this. I strongly believe that the Yehudi have a special place with the Creator. And I honestly believe that what I have to offer will help any sincere Yehudi draw closer to Father. I'm not trying to take away from the core fundamental beliefs of Judaism. I'm trying to build on those beliefs, and I'm trying to introduce you to a more fulfilled way of walking in your belief, in your faith. So this is part 5, based on the article 2021-0107, so written 5 years ago. And continuing, each major religion and denomination preserves different truths. So each major religion, particularly Christianity, Judaism, and Islam, preserve different truths. Other religions also contain truth. The sum of all truth is at least theoretically available from consideration of what every one of these groupings hold to be truth. Note that all the denominations and major divisions of Christianity each preserve certain distinct truths, while at the same time largely sharing common errors. Different groupings of Jews and Muslims also preserve distinct truths and argue amongst themselves over their differences. Throughout time, there have been pockets of people in each religion and denomination who are moderately close to Father, and they have preserved important truth. So basically, what we have, if you want to look at the whole picture as getting close to Father, is like climbing a mountain, and that's a metaphor that I use quite widely. If you look on the website for mountain, you'll find 2 or 3 articles. And the thing with mountains is that depending on how you approach them, they look differently. And so the Muslims, the Yehudi, the Christians will see the mountain differently. And within the different denominations of each of those, they see the mountain a bit differently. And then all the others, the Buddhists, etc., while they may not have some of the most important truths, they are still on the mountain at some level, with some level of exposure to the Creator. Then Christmas, Easter, etc., are pagan feasts, and they should be avoided at all costs. Yahushua was born on the first day of the Feast of Tabernacles, Sukkot, around September, October, and not on the 25th of December. The 25th of December is the birthday of the sun god, is an abomination in the sight of Yah. And Easter is not Passover, it's the festival of the goddess Ishtar. So have a look on the website, Satanic Feasts, True Sabbaths, and Christmas Pagan, and there's quite a lot more information on this. All the things associated with Easter, like Lent, and we had Ash Wednesday the other day, which is, I'm sorry, but it's pagan, folks. And I think a lot of Yehudi, a lot of Jews completely discount all of this Christian stuff, justifiably and correctly so. And I think it's also a stumbling block to Yehudi really embracing who Yeshua really is. Because Yeshua is the anointed one who was to come as foretold by Daniel, the Messiah. He's not God in the flesh. He's a man. Always has been a man, is a man today. In heaven, massive power and authority, and he's a man. And I think it's tragic the way Christianity has been corrupted to turn it away from its Hebrew roots. And that's part of my passion, is to see the Yehudi, the Jews, fully on board with what we're teaching here. Then there are very few true believers on earth today. As at the 25th of December 2015, so 11 years ago, there were only approximately 205,000 human beings in some measure of right standing with the Creator on earth. That number has, if anything, decreased. In fact, it's probably halved. And that number includes Christians, Jews, Muslims, yogis, Hindu, etc. There were about another 2.5 million who would make it into the Great Hall in heaven, again across all peoples. Of these, about 500,000 were what Father calls adulterous wives. They're spirit-filled. They're worshipping Jesus, worshipping Muhammad, worshipping Moshe, etc. Most of them were charismatic Christians. And if anything, that number's also decreased probably by 50%. There were also about 2 million foolish virgins, people who at some level had true belief, but had never been filled with the Spirit of the Almighty. A lot of Yehudi will end up there. So those statistics are approximate. They were given to me in December 25, when I was hearing Father quite clearly. I don't know the latest figures, other than that I've heard Father say that the number has decreased by about 50%, so that there are only about 1.5 million people today who would make it into the Great Hall of Heaven if the end were to happen. If Yeshua were to return now and the end were to come, only about 1.5 million people would make it into heaven. And that's sobering, and it's important to see that as a correction, because there's a lot of belief that a lot more people are going to heaven, and that belief is in every religion. But it's about relationship, folks. It's not about all the other stuff. And then there were about 20 million who had at some time believed, but had never formed any sort of relationship with the Creator or done anything in His service. These will end up in the outer darkness outside the great hall in heaven, the trash heap of heaven, as Father calls it, with weeping and wailing and gnashing of teeth, their teeth for eternity. In fact, they'd probably be better off if they'd not believed. So a lot of Christian evangelism is largely futile. And then finally, there were about 100 million believing unbelievers, people who were at some level religious, but who had never admitted the reality of the Creator at a level that brought about a spiritual state change. See the article Demographics of the Kingdom for detailed discussion, and there are a few other pages that discuss this. So the thing to notice here, folks, is that the people in the trash heap of heaven are increasing. The evangelism is continuing in the name of Jesus, etc., and those people are not going to make it into heaven. Belief in Jesus is not going to get someone into heaven. It's belief in Yah, the Creator, that's going to get people into heaven. And the believing unbelievers, well, there's probably at least 100 million today, maybe more. There's talk of global revivals, etc. And I hope I'm wrong, but I understand that just about all of that is not getting people qualified to enter heaven. And that's tragic. It's sad. There's a huge need for true revival. So in considering these statistics, you need to check firstly whether you truly believe that the Almighty Creator exists. Then you need to check whether you have at some level a relationship with Him. If not, you need to clean up urgently. There's YouTube videos on that topic, and then there's also the article on the website, 7 Components of Drawing Close, which I strongly recommend that you read and apply. Then consider the reality that many of the people who you have considered to be believers are not believers. Consequently, your entire picture of religion on earth today is likely skewed by lack of awareness of the above statistics, such that those who truly have some measure of right relationship are scattered all over the earth across most religious groupings and interspersed with large numbers who are not in right standing. Note that when I say right standing, that is a relative term. They virtually all have most of the errors that are addressed above and on my website, and are therefore not particularly close to the Almighty. There's a huge misunderstanding. Christianity has something like 1 point something billion believers. Islam has 1 point something believers, and so forth. That's the common belief. The truth is, of all of those people and others, in total, there are only about 1.5 million who would make it into heaven. And a fair number of those are Yehudi, but the Yehudi are a very small part of the global population. We've got of the order of, as I say, 1 point something billion Christians, 1 point something billion Muslims, and about 15 million Jews. So the Jews are like 0.1% of the total world population. And that small microcosm has a proportionately greater alignment with Yah. And then good is not the issue. When you consider the previous point, then the next point is that there are huge numbers of good people on earth, literally billions. But the vast majority have no relationship with the Creator, and are therefore, by the standards of the Almighty, of no consequence to Him. In fact, He has said He is indifferent to them. So if your standard of religious acceptance is good, I regret that you need to rethink. And then to compound this, many of those who are at some level of true belief are heavily demonized, and some are participating in wars and all sorts of things that are evil, so would not be classed as good. They will pay a heavy price for this in hell after they die, but right now things are confused. So, as I say from time to time, quoting Yeshua, do not judge. So to put it bluntly, there are billions of good people who are servants of Satan. This is one of the satanic and demonic realms' most effective ploys. So the satanic and demonic realm have downscaled their attempt at evil, and at seducing people with good. I had a conversation 10 years ago, 12 years ago with a man that I deeply respect. We got onto religion. He said, James, I don't go for this religious stuff. I live a good life, and as far as I'm concerned, that's all that matters. And at the time, I didn't know how to answer him, and subsequently I've established it doesn't cut it. Yeah, I will say, why would I want you in heaven when you don't believe I exist? And my goodness, it's hard to argue against that. So the reality is that billions of good people serving Satan. Then the synagogue, the mosque, the church is corrupt and valueless. An extension of the previous point is that collective religion, be it in the Jewish synagogue, the Muslim mosque, the Christian church, and their associated communities who are doing all sorts of good works, are irrelevant and valueless from the perspective of the Creator, because they do not teach people to have a deep relationship with the Creator, but rather to make people dependent on the pastor, the priest, the rabbi, the imam, etc. To have the relationship, and even then most of those leaders do not have a significant relationship with the Creator and are teaching error. In years past, these institutions had value, but today it's no longer the case. Folks, something that's got lost way, 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 way back is there's only one reason that you exist, that human beings collectively exist, that the planet exists, the plants and the animals exist, the solar system, the galaxy, Milky Way, universe, etc. Yah was lonely and he wanted friends. So if you are not actively seeking to become his friend, you're missing the point. Really. And you're not going to get there by sitting in an assembly hall listening to a teacher, preacher, whatever. It will get you so far, but then abdicating the need for relationships to the person in the pulpit is a complete waste of time. They can help you to a point, but at the end of the day, you need to get on your knees with Yah. You need to fast and pray. You need to worship every day. You need to pray every day, and you need to focus on building a relationship with him. And if you say, well, I'm too busy and I don't have time for that, well, you're going to have eternity to regret that statement, my friend. Further, it's important to remember that the collective of people who are effectively the church in Christianity in Jerusalem, at the time Yeshua was put to death, were calling for his death. So it is correct to say that the church, the assembly. See, church is a meaningless English word. It's a silly word. It means an assembly. So assembly of people, assembly hall. It's one of these amorphous words that just distract people. So it's correct to say that the assembly of believers at the time of Yeshua put him to death. In fact, Yah, the Creator, says that if Yeshua were to come today, the assembly of believers would again put him to death. Consider the Inquisitions. There's a page on the website about the Inquisitions, the pogroms, an indication of what Christianity does to those who believe differently to the masses. In most cases, they kill the true believers. I've been kicked out of a number of churches for daring to challenge their wrong beliefs. And recently, I've been aware of what was done to the Yehudi during the Second World War. Growing up, we had a significant number of Yehudi Jewish friends. I had a Yehudi business partner at one stage. My best friend at one stage in my life was a Orthodox Yehudi. The whole Holocaust was perpetuated, was executed by Christians. Hitler was a Christian. The Hamas in Gaza are Muslims. They're way off track. They're in serious error. They're heavily demonized. Whether any of them are actually true believers, according to my definition, is a different matter. So the brutal truth is that the satanic and demonic realm control the church or the assembly or the synagogue under the guise of good. One can be as good as one likes as long as one is not a strong believer in the Creator, and you are then entirely irrelevant. These comments apply to all religious groupings, to all assemblies. To take this a step further, try introducing everything that I've said in the last 4 broadcasts to the average, gentle, loving Jewish rabbi, and see them change into a raging, irrational, demonized tyrant if they're unable to convince you that you're mistaken and you should trust their teaching. Substitute Muslim, imam, Christian, pastor, same thing, I've seen it. The harsh reality is that if you take this message seriously and apply it fully, you will find that you're not welcome in any form of organized religion, except if you band together with a few other like-minded believers. But right now, they're few and far between, as I've said. So I had the experience. I had a dramatic encounter with Father in March 93. And by 95, I started to get revelation of errors in the church. And I went to one pastor who seemed to be a nice, gentle individual. And I told him what I believed and what I'd learned. And he turned to me, not very friendly, said, James, I could turn to 15,000 Bible school graduates and not one of them will agree with you. They will agree with me. So I was a bit put off, and I went home and I got on my knees, and Father said, yes, he's absolutely right. He could easily find 15,000 Bible school graduates to agree with him, and they'd all be wrong. And then a while later, Father told me to get out of my marriage, showed me that my wife had betrayed me, that she was breaking covenant with me on a continuous basis, trying to destroy me. And this pastor turned against me and supported my wife, even though I was the one with the relationship with him. If you go against the doctrines of whatever formal religion you're participating in, you will discover some disturbing things about them. Then true belief recognizes the above and worships only the Creator. True belief recognizes all that I've talked about and worships Yah alone and not Yeshua or Jesus, not the Bible, not the Torah. In fact, a person who truly accepts all that I've said is not a Yehud, is not a Jew per definition of a religious being, or a Christian or a Muslim. They're a servant of Yah, period. Slight twist with Jew, Yehudi, is a fundamental, it's a nationality as well, it's a tribe. But from a religious point of view is what I'm talking about. This is vital to understand. Christianity has been corrupt from within a short time after Yeshua died, and it's become more corrupt over time. There was a limited recovery following on from Martin Luther, albeit coupled with massive anti-Semitism, Jew hatred. And there's been some further limited recovery since then. However, the worship of Jesus, incorrectly Jesus, Yeshua, the worship of the Bible had made Christianity beyond the pale, so to speak. If you're truly seeking a relationship with Father Yah, the Almighty Creator, the day will come when He will tell you to come out of her. That is the Church of Christ. I think He will do the same with the assembly of the Yehudi, which as an institution is beyond redemption, the Christian Church. To a lesser extent, the same applies to Judaism and to Islam. Judaism already had a major error at the time of Yeshua, and Muhammad also spoke against this in the context of worship of the book. So, putting the Torah on a pedestal and making an idol out of it breaks the second commandment, thou shalt have no idols. And so you need to take it off the pedestal. It's a writing by human beings. It is not entirely fallible, and there's a lot that's happened since the time of Yeshua onwards that's not in the Torah. It's not in the various books of the so-called Old Testament. And you need to open your mind to what's going on, because things are evolving. The fundamental reason we exist is to become friends of the Creator. Finally, the ultimate reason we exist is to become friends of the Creator. Fundamentally, nothing else matters. If you do that, you'll qualify for a high throne in heaven for eternity. And if you do not get it all right, you will still qualify for a proportionate reward. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, most important, and the webpage, Critical Elements of Becoming a Friend. And accordingly, if you're a Yehudi, being nominal or deeply committed, I appeal to you to turn from your error and turn to the Almighty Creator, whose true name is Yah, the eternally self-existing, and pray the following prayer or something like it. So the prayer, adjust this as appropriate to your unique circumstances. Father Yah, I come to you and I confess that I've worshipped the Torah and the rabbis. I recognize this as, and Moshe for that matter, Moses. I recognize this as sin and I repent and I ask you to forgive me and help me to start on a new path serving you alone. I confess that I've used wrong names for you, Yeshua, and others. I now recognize this as sin and I repent and I ask you to forgive me and help me to start on a new path using the correct names and words. I choose to forsake the pagan religion of Judaism and to worshiping and serving Yah, the eternally self-existing alone. I thank you for what I've learned through Judaism that has brought me thus far, brought my relationship with you thus far, but I now choose to serve you only. Please help me to do this in whatever way is possible. Help me to pray appropriately and to act appropriately. Thank you for forgiving me and setting me free. So, folks, the exact prayer is up to you. I'm not trying to be prescriptive. The key thing is what I'm offering you, you might want to call Judaism on steroids. It's a refined version of Judaism which cuts away some of the fluff and stuff and narrows down on seeking relationship with Yah and elaborates that and emboldens it and expands it by a realization that Yeshua was and is the anointed one who was to come, the Messiah, and embracing him accordingly, not believing that he's God or Yah or whatever, but that he is a man, he came as a man. And that means that you're probably going to recalibrate some of your thinking about the Messiah. You're probably going to have to think about recalibrating your thoughts about the third temple and the red heifer and so forth. Things changed when Yeshua died. When the Yehudi put Yeshua to death, they broke something. And that's a whole different discussion. I've touched on that in some of the previous broadcasts. Once you've prayed that prayer, take the bread and wine of the covenant and claim forgiveness. See the webpage, Critical Actions on First Belief, and also the articles on the web page, Video, Why Seek Relationship, most important. Particularly the article on 7 components of drawing close to the Almighty Creator. And if you go to the website, www.endtimeissueministries.org, hover your mouse over the word home in the top left-hand corner of the menu. Just to the right of that is a little white triangle. Hover over that, you'll get a drop-down list with, I think it's 4 articles. Second one down is 7 components of drawing close. You can read it online. You can download it as a PDF or a docx and get it printed. So in conclusion, I hope that this has helped you and that you will now turn to serving the Almighty Creator, Yah, the eternally self-existing alone. Part of doing this is that you no longer call yourself a Jew in the religious sense. You're a Jew in the tribal sense, if I can call it that way. But rather refer to yourself as a believer in the Most High Creator, Yah, the eternally self-existing. Something that's changed, and I've touched on this in previous broadcasts, something that's changed is that when the Yehudi rejected the Messiah at the time that Yeshua was put to death, Yah said, I've had enough. Yeshua died, his blood fell onto the lid of the Ark of the Covenant, onto the mercy seat. inducted a new covenant, a new high priest, and a new ritual for forgiveness of sin. You need to know that. Read the article, The Miracle of the Death of Yeshua. Search for the word miracle on the webpage. And Yah rent the curtain in the temple from top to bottom, revealing that the Ark of the Covenant was not in the temple, so that the priesthood was illegitimate and the atoning sacrifice for sin on Yom Kippur was of no value because there was no ark to sprinkle the blood of the covenant on. So the rules changed. And at the risk of offending you, I hope you see my heart towards you as a Yehudi. At the risk of offending you, Yah said, I'm done with these guys. I'm casting the net now wide to everybody on the planet. And if you want to fully observe Yom Kippur, if you want to fully observe the covenant, if you want to, at some level, apply the teachings in the Torah with regard to the high priest, you need to do that through Yeshua. And if you don't know what Yeshua did, you're in a difficult situation and you're losing out. You can get closer to Yah if you take my teachings on board. So that's kind of completed that teaching. I'm going to now talk on the article 2026-0103, in other words, something that I wrote 6 weeks ago. Why the satanic and demonic realm hate the Yehudi. And the story behind this is that I've recently been browsing on Facebook and I got a few little videos about Israel and Gaza and what have you, and I liked them, and I forwarded them to myself and started building up a collection of videos, short videos about Israel, Gaza, Iran, Islamists, etc. And as much as I had an awareness of the Yehudi, the Jews, before I started doing this, which was probably in the beginning of November, my awareness of the Yehudi has been raised dramatically in the last 8 weeks or so. So one of the things that has really struck me over the last 2 years, since October 7th, 2023, is the extreme level of hatred towards the Yehudi, the Jewish people, and Israel. Only 15%, only 15 million Yehudi Jews in the world. And if you listen to the protesters, the pro-Palestine protesters, etc., you'd think there were billions of them. They occupy this tiny little piece of land, that's sort of like 0.1% of the land area in the Middle East. And that's not good enough for the Palestinians. They want to eradicate it. So see my article 2026-0102, Yehudi versus Jew, the essence of false names, which discusses an explanation of the error with regard to names. And I want to stress that Yehudi is the Hebrew word incorrectly translated as Jew in the Christian Bible and in general use. That name includes the name of Yah, the Creator, so be careful how you treat it. Relates to people who originated in the land of Yehudah, Judea, which means Yah is praised. I've gone quite deeply over the years into the whole story about the Yehudi, the Jews. So while one can, as many do, build a doctrine of error against the Yehudi, I've come to understand that from Yah's perspective, they are more faithful than any other grouping to the commandments of Yah. Not all of them, but the core. In particular, they recognize that Jesus is not God, and thereby they keep the first commandment, which is broken by nearly all Christians. Also, many Muslims have elevated Muhammad to the level of a god, hence they murder anyone who speaks ill of, or beat them up, who speaks ill of Muhammad or even caricatures them. The Yehudi are guilty of esteeming the so-called Torah, the first 5 books of the Bible, at an inappropriate level that results in idolatry which brings judgment at times, albeit that the scale of idolatry is much less than Christians worshipping the entire Bible as the Word of God. And Muslims worshipping the Quran also as the Word of God, and they also murder people who speak ill of the Quran or desecrate it, which is an act of worship. The Yehudi know the true name of the Creator is Yahweh, albeit that through mistaken interpretation of the third commandment, they mask this truth in just about all activities with the words God or G_D and Hashem, and as a consequence, at some level, they bring judgment. However, their error is far less severe than the Christians on this account. The Muslims have less error through Allah, meaning Almighty, on this point, but they do not have a revelation of Yahweh. The Yehudi are extremely strict about observing the Saturday Sabbath and the main high Sabbaths, which are almost entirely ignored by all others. This is the one free gift that a human being can give Yah to reveal one's allegiance to Yah, and the Yehudi are very strict about this and are rewarded accordingly. The Yehudi are also more strict about honoring parents, adultery, and false witness than the rest of the world. Together with the above, the Yehudi also have a profound revelation of the blessings of Yah through Abraham, Yaakov, Israel, and so on. So it's that many Yehudi prosper dramatically. For example, the Rothschilds. And I'm not talking about conspiracy theories about the Rothschilds. Please get me clearly. I'm saying the Rothschilds as Jews prospered because of their Jewish beliefs and belief in the blessings of Yah. The Yehudi are also, for the most part, hardworking and industrious, supported by their emunah or faith in the blessings of Yah. Such that while the Yehudi are 0.2% of the population of the world, 2 out of every 1,000 people, they've received 22% of the Nobel Prizes and constitute over 20% of the world's wealthiest people, many of them seeing themselves as serving and elevating humanity and awakening collective consciousness. There's a big thing here, folks. There's all sorts of rubbish, conspiracy theories, etc., that the Jews control the world, etc., etc., and that's why you should hate the Jews. It's all claptrap. And I'm going to talk in a minute about my opinion as to why that happens. So in response to what I've just mentioned, a huge proportion of the world's population at some level hate the Yehudi. This is widely referred to as anti-Semitism, but in its true raw form, it is Jew hatred. The trouble with anti-Semitism is it's a bit bland, because I'm Semite. I'm descended from Israel, from the 10 tribes that went into exile, but I'm not a Jew. Anti-Semitism is narrowly focused on the Yehudi, and I suggest that if you are somebody who is troubled by anti-Semitism, stop calling it anti-Semitism and call it Jew hatred, because that's really what it is. The founding charter of Hamas in Gaza commits to obliterate the state of Israel and destroy every single Yehudi. This was manifest on the 7th of October 2023 and in the ensuing war in Gaza. The dictators in Iran, Hezbollah, the Houthis, and more generally every Islamist on the planet hates the Yehudi and is determined to destroy them. Many confused Christians hate the Yehudi because the Jews killed Jesus. This was manifest in Adolf Hitler and the Holocaust, amongst other things. Even today, there are many Christians who hate Yehudi for all sorts of trumped-up reasons, and many people who postulate all sorts of weird conspiracy theories that the Jews control the world. All of these are lies from the satanic and demonic realm. Fundamentally, what is really going on is that the satanic and demonic realm believe that if they can destroy the Yehudi, they will come much closer to fully controlling humanity and winning the contest to a reasonable degree. They're correct. So the demons on just about every person on the planet are programmed to seek the destruction of the Yehudi. At some level, the Yehudi stand between mankind and utter perdition. If the Yehudi are obliterated, then the Islamists and the satanic and demonic realm will focus their attention on the Christians. So in conclusion, if you're one who hates the Yehudi, or even one who's ambivalent towards them, I encourage you to rethink your beliefs and your attitude. You're on the wrong side of Yah, and you will be judged accordingly. So what I'm saying, folks, is the core issue with Jew hatred is that the Yehudi, the Jews, make a more concerted attempt to keep the Ten Commandments and keep in right standing with Yah. The satanic and demonic realm hate this. They want to destroy the Yehudi because they believe, rightly I think, that if they destroy the Yehudi, it will give them freer range on earth. And that's why there is so much concentrated in Arabia, in the Middle East, on destroying Israel. It's why the Islamists, quite publicly, in written documents, say that their agenda is to totally kill every single human being. The Palestine Authority in the West Bank of the Jordan pay out something like $250 million a year to the widows and descendants of and those who commit crimes on the basis of what is called pay and slay. So if you detonate a suicide bomb and kill 40 Jews, your family will get a stipend for the rest of their lives, and they'll live comfortably because the Palestinian Authority is paying them, and a whole lot of Western aid is going to pay for this pay and slay. It's appalling. So I'd like to move on. I'll leave you with those thoughts, and I'd like to ask you, what is the state of your relationship with the Almighty Creator today? I'd like to ask you to critically examine where you are relative to Him. Do you talk to Him constantly throughout the day and allow Him to lead you in every possible way? Do you worship Him at every opportunity? Have you clearly and unambiguously heard Him call you friend? If not, you're failing in your life purpose, and you will be bitterly disappointed when you die. If you've now come to belief, please pray along the following lines. Father Yah, I come to you in the name of Yahushua. I now believe that you exist. I confess my sin of unbelief and repent of my unbelief, and I ask you to forgive my sin. I now commit my life to you, and I ask you to take me by the hand and lead me into deep relationship with you. I ask you to fill me with your spirit and to change me and help me to become the person you want me to become. I ask you to help me find people who can help me and help me find books, websites, articles, and other resources that will help me. I ask you to show me what I can do to actively serve you and lead others to deep personal relationship with you. I thank you for saving me. There's a period of 8 days from sincerely coming to belief for the first time, during which there is extreme grace to help you. See the article Critical Actions on First Belief for actions you should take immediately. Drop me an email at james@endtimeissueministries.org so I can help you, pray with you, counsel you, etc. So in closing, thank you for listening. Please send me your questions to james@endtimeissueministries.org. Please email me to join the mailing list at james@endtimeissueministries.org. If you decide to draw close to the Almighty, please let me know, and I can connect with you by Zoom, Teams, email, LinkedIn, Facebook, WhatsApp, or telephone so that I can help you with your journey. I hope to connect with you again next week when I will continue to explore how to become a friend of the Creator. Work with me to make a way for Yeshua to return in victory at the end of the millennium and make his enemies his footstool. If you are a Yehudi listening to this, please email me. I would love to hear from you, and I would love to help you walk the road that I have outlined. And then, irrespective of who you are, Father Yah, the Almighty Creator of the heavens and earth, wants a deep personal relationship with you. Doesn't matter how far you are away from him today, he wants you to come closer. Doesn't matter if you're a Yehudi, a Muslim, an Islamicist, a Christian, a Baha'i, Buddhist, Hindu, whatever. He wants you to become his friend. rich or poor, thin or fat, tall or short, educated or uneducated, blonde hair and blue eyes, black hair and brown eyes, anywhere in between, even a Satanist, Indian, African, Asian, American, European, Caucasian, whatever. The Almighty Creator desires for you to become his friend, even if you're a Satanist, a witch, or a warlock, or whatever. He will help you to get free, and he'll help you to get close. And I will help you. It's my passion. It's the reason I live, is to help you to get close to Father. So don't waste time. Drop me an email, james@endtimeissueministries.org. James, I listened to your broadcast. You touched something. I want to get close to Father. I've prayed that prayer, or I haven't prayed that prayer, and please will you help me? I will be delighted. We can get on Zoom. We can get on WhatsApp chat. We can get on WhatsApp phone, whatever, and I will counsel you. I will pray with you. I will pray for you and help you to get there. So those of you who are new, please hang on. I've got something more to share with you. Those of you who've been walking with me for a while, I'm guessing you're going to drop off now. So I'm going to say good night. Have a great weekend and a great week, and I'll see you next Friday. Those of you who stayed behind, who were with me for the first time, or the second time, in closing, who am I? James Robertson. I have a doctorate in engineering, and I'm a retired military commander. And now work as a management consultant. I have over 32 years' experience of actively seeking to draw close to the Almighty, following a dramatic encounter with him on the 12th of March, 1993, when he spoke to me audibly in a locked room, and I knew for certain that he was real. In learning about Father, I applied my deep-seated aversion to failure born out of an accident in early childhood, coupled to my engineering and military training of rigor in preventing failure, to my seeking of knowledge about Father. This journey led to numerous supernatural experiences, prayers answered, and clear communication with the Creator that forms the basis for what I teach in these programs. See the video, Why Seek Relationship, for an overview of what I believe. Please visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org. The ETI version of the Bible with correction of translation errors is on the ETI Bible version page. For recordings of nearly all of the teachings broadcast so far, go to www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or search on Google for Relationship with Creator Radio. Transcripts are on the Transcripts for Broadcast page. Books with teachings from 1998 until May 2019 are on the Books for Printing page, about 9,000 pages, 15 books. I publish regular email articles. Email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to be added to the list, or to seek counsel or prayer, or give me feedback. Visit the website and use the article keyword cloud, table of contents, article search, and Google search to locate the information you're looking for. Folks, that's it. I'm out of time. I'm going to say good night. Have a great weekend, great week, and I look forward to seeing you here next Friday. Thank you so much. Go well.
Father, I come to you, lifting up my hands. By your grace I stand, just because you love me. I know your favor.
Are you truly aware of how my message applies to the Yehudi, incorrectly called Jews, and why so many people hate the Yehudi, the Jews? Please listen to my broadcast on w4cy.com internet radio or talk4tv.com internet TV to understand why I say this. My name is Dr. James Robertson, and I've been walking closely with the Almighty Creator since 1993. Visit my website at www.endtimeissueministries.org for a lot of information about the matters of the Almighty. For back issues of broadcasts, visit www.relationshipwithcreatorradio.com or email me on james@endtimeissueministries.org to find out more. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks so much.